Hi, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Hima Sridhar, and I'm the Chief Advisor for Industry and Science. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about some of the projects and some of the developments and some of the activities that have happened since we last spoke to you in February. But please feel free to talk to any one of the MOD people that are here. We have a number of project team reps here today. We've also got a few domain directors here. So please feel free to approach them and ask them any questions, because obviously this is sort of a very high level summary of all the projects and all the things we've had going in the last 3 or 4 months or 5 months. So this is a bit of a snapshot of what has happened since February. In the meeting in February, we spoke a lot about sort of some of our plans and some of the intentions we had over the next 6 months or so. And then COVID happened. So obviously there were a number of changes to our approach and our thinking. However, in that time, we did have a lot of really good activities and really good events and significant events. We've also had a lot of changes in terms of our project people, and most importantly, ones that I'm really keen to highlight is a new head of policy and planning, Mike Swain, who came to us from MFAT. And we've also got a new policy head of policy, Bronwyn Evans-Kent, who also started in February. I believe she started literally a day or something before the lockdown started. So we would be working with them over the coming months to see if they can come across to the members meeting or one of the future members meeting to give a bit of an update of where policy branch are and what their thinking is in that space. So in terms of other events, is obviously a lot of the projects continued over the COVID lockdown and subsequent level 3s and level 2s. And there was a lot of activities, obviously quite different in terms of how we approached it with the ongoing travel restrictions and a range of other restrictions that were in place. But what you'll see from sort of the highlights is that there was a significant level of activity that still took place, which engaged both our ministry personnel and the various project teams, as well as our industry partners and NZDIA, of course, as well as other government agencies in some instances to get some of these deliverables achieved. So we had 5 business cases that gained approval by Cabinet. We also started a piece of work looking at the impact of COVID on industry and industry's abilities to support some of the capability projects in the next 6 months to a year. We've also had a number of people within the ministry who were seconded into the all of government responses for COVID. And there's quite a lot of really good insights and lessons learned that came from that. And Chris Nixon, who is in the industry team, was one of those people. So please feel free to ask him of his experience if you get a chance later today. And so in terms of capability update, here are 4. There's obviously quite a lot that we could talk to you about. So perhaps I'll start with Aotearoa. If you haven't seen it, particularly for people in Auckland, I'm sure you've seen it. You can't miss it when you take a ferry to Devonport or even drive over the Harbour Bridge. But Aotearoa is the largest ship for the Navy. It arrived, I believe, if my memory serves me right, a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, and we're going to be doing the commissioning for that next week. And so that was quite a significant pace and a significant capability that's been delivered to the Navy. We also had Manawanui, which participated in HADR, so humanitarian disaster aid and disaster relief exercise last week. We've also had a number of Polaris vehicles, so 6 so far, delivered to the New Zealand Army in May 2020. We've also had 4 King Air aircraft as part of the aircrew training capability that was delivered to the Air Force. So we've got a bit of a domain update in terms of some of the projects and specifically some of the key points around some of these projects. So I'm going to obviously go through this in the interest of time quite quickly. So please feel free to approach all of our project teams or get in touch with any of us if you want more details on any of these. So in terms of the maritime domain, you've got a bit of an overview in terms of some of the activities that are going to take place over the next 6 months to a year. For one of the ones I would like to highlight is the Littoral Manoeuvre Craft project. So that's looking at the procurement of 3 littoral manoeuvre crafts once approval is sought in August. So we will have more details of that in the coming month or so. And these are essentially the procurement of boats around 12 meters long. So we'll have more details on that in the coming months. We've also got from the next slide. So hopefully I'm not going too quickly through these slides for the people in Auckland. So from the air domain is obviously we've got EMAC, which is the Enhanced Maritime Awareness Capability. There is a decision, an upcoming decision to be made on this. And once we have more information available, we will get in touch with industry to look at what are some of the opportunities to engage with industry. The other one that I would like to highlight, and I'd like to also take the opportunity to introduce Beth, who's the lead on this project, is the ORAX, which is the Operational and Regulatory Aviation Compliance System and Sustainment, which is a bit of a mouthful, but they're going to have an RFT that will be released late next month. So again, we will have more information on that in the coming weeks, and we will get that out to industry as soon as possible. So then next is the land domain. So am I going too fast?
Yeah, it's just certain slides take a bit of time.
Okay. Have they caught up? So with the land domain, we've got a number of projects here that are still in definition. And as I said before, we've had under protected mobility, we've had 6 Polaris vehicles delivered so far. And as many of you may know, we've had the announcement of the Bushmasters last week. So there is, opportunities across the land domain, and we would have more information available in the coming weeks, and we'll get in touch with industries as and when possible. So finally, the information domain, and I'll take this opportunity now to introduce Nick Gallard and Pete Franken, who are the domain leads for MOD and NZDIA respectively, to give you a bit of a summary of what this domain is about. Thank you.
Okay, you know you're the new kid on the block when you have to stand up and explain yourself. And so here we go. So you'll recall when DCP, the Defence Capability Plan 19 was published, we introduced this concept that we're calling the information domain. And I stood up here 6 months ago, I think, at one of these, and I was day 2 of the job, and I sort of stood up and waved and said, I'm the director of the information domain. Pete hadn't even been invented by then, but we sort of said, well, we've got some work to do on this, and it was sort of progressing on what we mean by that. And we spent the last 6 months, what I would describe as being defining and designing what we're calling the information domain. And the doctrinally perceptive among you would say, what's the information domain? There are 5 domains we thought in the military context: land, maritime, air, space, and cyber, and agreed. But taking a somewhat sort of doctrinal rather than dogmatic approach, we've come up with what we're calling the bespoke New Zealand information domain. And within that, there is a sub-portfolio of projects. There are a number of projects, both across NZDF and Defence-led with the Ministry. But there is a sub-portfolio of projects. And we've basically defined them in 4 distinct pillars within the context of the domain. Cyber and electronic warfare, intelligence, information activities, and C4. And the projects that you see up there are the main defence ones, led ones that are within that sub-portfolio. That we're currently in the position of defining the current and uplifting the current capabilities. Because you're going to look at it and say, intelligence, cyber defence, EW, surely these things exist already in the Defence Force, and you'd be right. But the intention is to lift those capabilities and bring them into where the Defence Force is going, particularly around Plan 25. So I'm going to provide today a very quick entree around the domain, and then the main course will be served in August, and this is where you guys come in. What we're looking for with uplifting these capabilities are new ways of doing business, new people, new skills, new technology. So as we go into the Information Domain Day as part of the activities in August, we will look to you, industry, to solve our problems for us. So we're going to engage with you in terms of defining and articulating opportunities for you. And what we're looking for is new suppliers, a new group of people that can provide what we require from an NZ and overseas industry perspective. And I'm talking about bespoke information-driven workforce, IT, AI, big data, data analytics, infrastructure. These are the opportunities, training. These are the opportunities that we'll be looking for across those pillars of intelligence, cyber, electronic warfare, information activities, and C4. Pete, do you want to have a word? You're okay. So we'll give Pete a go because we're a bit of a dog and pony. So Pete needs to get up and have a bit of a chat as well. So what we will do is in August is the opportunity to engage with you, and we're going to ask you to solve our problems for us. What are the bespoke challenges and opportunities that come from something like the information domain? That's the challenge. Look forward to August.
Thanks, Nick. Right, well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Group Captain Pete Frank, and I'm the Director of the Information Domain, so I'm the counterpart to Nick, so Ministry of Defence and NZDIA. It's probably best to start off with saying, what's the difference between Nick and I? Nick will be responsible primarily for the programs as they get developed. Several will come under my orbit or my control, but they're the smaller scale and risk options, which come through the NZDIA-led projects. The main difference I'll be dealing with when it comes to the information domain is actually structuring our organisation or offering opportunities for the organisation to change to best meet these new capabilities. So it's an organisational design piece. So we've got projects and we've got organisational design. We will be leaning into industry and certainly leaning into the security sector to stretch our thinking, because this is not an endeavour we will be undertaking just by ourselves. Some of the opportunities here are clearly pan-defence, pan-organisation security, and pan-industry as well. So whether that comes to the training of individuals, we haven't got a workforce big enough to all retain our own in some of these specialised fields, but these specialised fields we share with banking, with the teleco industry. So my job is to somehow look at the raise, the train, the sustain, and the integration of these individuals into a new operating model and a new operating design for defence. The timeline for that, I've got till the end of the year. We've started very recently. This is very embryonic. End of the year to come up with the options for down select. So we're very much at the internal data gathering stage, because we have a lot of these individuals already in defence, a lot of very specialised individuals, but they're more often reporting to one capability, not looking across in an integrated fashion to the integrated defence force and integrated security sector. So doing the internal audit of who we already have and what capabilities we have, and looking at ways of better utilising these individuals and their skills as we look at industry and the rest of the security sector. So I'm here mainly to put a face to a name. If I'm asking questions, it's about organisational design and to challenge my thinking. I've grown up in the Defence Force. I need people who've grown up outside of the Defence Force to challenge me and to make me think in different ways. Thank you for the opportunity.